Hey guys, so we are quickly approaching part 3, the final part of the 5th anniversary here. I am 99.9% sure that this coming week will have the part 3 banner. So this coming Wednesday, it will be July 12th, will be when the banner will be dropping. Again, I'm like 99% sure that it's coming then, so get ready. I'm recording this video on Saturday, July 8th. So as of right now, we do not yet have a reveal and stuff announcement, but I believe either by the time this video goes up or tomorrow, we will have the reveal and stuff officially announced on social media, and there should be an in-game notice as well. And if you guys have been following with the pattern so far, you know, they sort of tweeted out a hint, which I still don't know what it means. We got the Sword of Hope Trunks Zenkai Awakening, and then we got the free-to-play Red Goku Black, which is right here. So clearly they're going for a future Trunks saga theme for the 3rd part of the anniversary, which means that it's 98% going to be Vegito Blue, right? I think most people at this point have come to accept that, right? That it's going to be Ultra Vegito Blue. You know, we went from Ultra Super Gogeta from Legends Festival to Ultra Super Vegito to we went from Ultra Super Gogeta in Legends Festival to Ultra Super Vegito during anniversary last year. This year we got Gogeta Blue for Festival. Yeah, it's probably gonna be Vegito Blue. So I'm gonna go ahead and move through this video assuming that Vegito Blue is going to be the Ultra. I mean, technically, yeah, it's not confirmed yet, so you know, the only other possible option really at this point is like a merge Zamasu, but I don't think we're getting a merge Zamasu Ultra for anniversary. I'm sorry, I don't think so. So I'm going to be taking a look at like the teams that Vegito Blue would be on. I'm going to be taking a look at what sort of units he's going to be synergizing with or attempting to synergize with, and give my thoughts and opinions on what I would want to see out of a potential Ultra Vegito Blue here. So I guess when it comes down to what we're looking at, the first thing to quickly mention, I guess, is battle style. So of course we have melee, ranged, defense, and support type. Those are the 4 types that exist in the game here. When it comes to like support type battle styles, I think at some point we definitely will see a summonable Ultra support character. But for an anniversary, you know, major Ultra, like crazy hype release, I don't see a support type for Vegito Blue. Do you guys think Ultra Vegito Blue would be support type? I don't. So I'm going to rule that out. When it comes to the character Vegito Blue, considering what he did in the fight against Zamasu, considering just the image that I have, at least in my head, of Vegito Blue as a character, I don't really think of him as a blast character. We already did get a blast version of the unit with the purple Vegito Blue. It just felt a little strange seeing his blasts do so much damage and his strikes really weren't doing that much damage. I don't think it really fits the character that much, so I'm gonna assume that he's gonna be, if he's gonna be between blast and strike, I think strike to me makes more sense. So I'm gonna rule out blast. So that brings us to strike, melee type, or defense type. I think either one is probably equally as likely, and I think actually, surprisingly, I would probably lean a little bit more towards defense type than melee type. And it's not like if a character is designated as being a defense type, they can't also have really good offenses. Like you guys remember last year when Super Vegito, Ultra Super Vegito dropped, he is actually a defense type unit. He is. And so is Kid Buu, by the way. Ultra Kid Buu is a defense type. So even if you are classified as a defense type character, I think, you know, you actually could still be doing a lot of damage and have the potential to do a lot of damage. So I'm not really going to harp too much on the differences between being a defense type and a melee type. At the end of the day, the only real effect that it has is it kind of lowers your stats a little bit on the offense side if you are a defense type, and if you are a melee type, your offensive stats and defensive stats kind of get swapped around a little bit. So your offenses tend to be a little bit higher, defenses tend to be a little bit lower, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't make that big of a difference. In terms of what I'm going to be talking about though in this video, when we look at his teams and the other characters he's going to be synergizing with, I actually think that it would benefit him more to, or benefit, not only just benefit him more, but benefit his teams more, and the other top units he's going to be around more, if he was providing a bit more of I guess, team-wide help as opposed to just being like a selfish character. So I actually would choose defense type, but again, I don't think it matters. So either melee or defense type, it's whatever, it's fine. Okay, so in terms of the teams that an Ultra Vegito Blue would be on, he would be on 3 main teams, clearly. He'd be on Future, which is the theme that they're focusing on right now with the Future Trunks saga. He would be on God Key, right? Which, of course, God Key's honestly, like, it just will forever be getting buffed throughout this game. I remember when God Key was first introduced as a tag, and I was like, okay, this is going to be like one of the tags that just never dies, and that's true. And then the third team is obviously going to be Fusion Warriors. He's also going to be on Saiyans, but whenever we have like these big time Ultra characters like this, it's hard to really build a Saiyan team around them because of the fact that you're mostly going to be wanting to run multiple Ultras, which can't work because you need to have the Ultra abilities active if you want to maximize the effectiveness of each of these characters. So I'm not going to really include Saiyans in this discussion here. But yeah, so it's going to be Fusion Warriors, Future, and God Key. Those are going to be the 3 ones, the 3 teams that he's going to be on mainly. So out of all those 3 teams, we take a look at the best characters in the game on each of those teams. So on Future, obviously, I would say Rose is probably still the best future character in the game, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would really disagree with that. Then we have God Key, which, again, it's probably just going to be Gogeta Blue still, right? Revival UI Goku is really good. I don't think Revival UI Goku is really competing with Gogeta Blue in terms of like a one-on-one battle of who's better. And then we have Fusion Warriors, which of course, again, Gogeta Blue, right? So 2 of his 3 teams, we have Gogeta Blue as like the main character on both on Fusion Warriors and God Key. So it makes sense that I think, you know, with them designing a Vegito Blue Ultra character, they would probably want to look at Gogeta Blue and think of a way to design his kit in a way that works well with the current best character on the team, which is Gogeta Blue. So I'm going to be going through the list here, and also Rose, by the way, too, because like obviously this is supposed to be a Future Trunks Saga like theme for this part. So I think looking at Rose and looking at Blue Gogeta, both of those Ultra characters, that's probably where the developers are, like when they started designing Vegito Blue for this anniversary. That's probably where they looked at as a guide, like, okay, what's the objective we have with this character, and how can we design this character to successfully achieve that objective? And the objective was probably just to help those 2 units, help Rose and help Blue Gogeta. So in terms of both of those characters, so I guess the first thing we can start talking about is color. Like what typing or what color is Vegito Blue going to be? So I think there's really 2 options here. So obviously, if we look at both of those characters, Rose and Gogeta, I don't think they're going to double up on the colors here. So I don't think they're going to make him green, and I don't think they're going to make him purple. So I'm going to just immediately knock off those choices there. Yellow, I guess, could be okay if we're just considering Rose, because right, Rose would be weak to purple characters, and then you would be able to have Vegito Blue as a yellow unit backing up Rose's weakness to, let's just say Goku from Goku and Frieza, right? The Goku side. In fact, I would probably argue that that's the biggest problem with Rose right now, is just the massive presence that Goku and Frieza have in the meta right now. They're just in every single match, and it just becomes a lot harder to use Rose. Yes, there's instances where, of course, Goku and Frieza are switching to the Frieza side and they're blue, but most of the time, the person who's using Goku and Frieza has the onus to decide, okay, I want to be switched into Frieza or I want to be switched into Goku. So it's hard as the Rose player to really catch the Frieza side unless they make a really big mistake. So yeah, it has become a little bit harder to use Rose because of that. But then being yellow doesn't really work that well with Gogeta on the Fusion Warrior side. And I would honestly argue that Super Vegito is still pretty good on the Fusion Warrior team. He's not exceptional. He's definitely aged. He's a year old now. But I would say he's still competent, is what I would say about him. So in terms of yellow, is it the best choice? No. But is it the worst choice? No. But I probably would say no to yellow as well. So that brings us to blue and red. I actually wouldn't be the most upset about blue, right? I think if you look at the teams, right? So we look at Fusion Warriors, the best blue character on Fusion Warriors. I mean, it's just Gogeta, it's just Super Gogeta still, right? We can actually take a look here. So if we go to Fusion Warriors, where's Fusion Warriors? Let's see if I get right here. Yeah, like the only, I mean, you have Super Gogeta. I would say is easily better than the Zenkai Vegito Blue, right? Would anybody disagree with that? Would anybody say that Vegito Blue Zenkai is better than Super Gogeta? I don't think so. So he's still their best blue, who's definitely aged out at this point. Like he's a year and a half old now, right? So I think we can all agree that this team could definitely use a better blue character. And then also a blue character would work well with Gogeta, right? Because if you're Vegito Blue who's blue, and you're fighting a green character, which honestly there really aren't that many great greens right now. Let's say you're fighting Rose, right? You get matched up against an Ultra Rose. You can have Gogeta Blue come in and cover the weakness to greens, right? So that's definitely a thing to mention here. Where's God Key? Let's take a look at that as well. God Key. So the best blue on God Key. Oof, yeah, this is just Zamasu, right? Zamasu is the best blue on this team. Also not a fantastic lineup of blue units here. Other than Zamasu, like what other blue units are you using? You're certainly not using this Vegeta. This is a free unit. Beerus is old. Yeah, I guess it's just this guy again. It's just Vegito Blue Zenkai. So there's really not a great blue roster of units on here either. So yeah, and then Blue Zamasu, I mean, I definitely think that Blue Zamasu is still good. He's, again, not great, but he's not horrible. But he would not be my like go-to first choice for a lot of these teams anymore. So I could definitely see him getting replaced as the main blue character for God Key. I think also in Future, like isn't he the main blue on Future too? Yeah, like what other? I mean, well, I guess just kidding. Got this Trunks now, but honestly, I have not used this Trunks enough to really make a determination as to how good he is. All I've done so far up until this point was his initial showcase, and that's not enough. That's not enough experience with the character to form like a conclusive determination of how good he is, in my opinion. Depending on how they build Ultra Vegito, I actually could see a world in which he probably would work better with Zamasu than this Trunks. This Trunks is a very offensive-based unit. And if Vegito Blue is going to be this like monster one-man army character, then I honestly probably think he would work a little bit better with Zamasu, who's more built to work defensively. He has a lot more disruption. He has support, whereas Trunks is more so just a damaging character. We'll see, though. We'll see. Either way, I think we could use a better blue on this team. So I really don't think that any of the teams in all of his three teams, right? God Key, Fusion Warriors, and Future, I don't think there is a dominant blue unit on any of those teams. And then even if you just look at like the amount of good blue units that exist in the game right now, there really only are two that come to mind, with 17 and Beast Gohan, right? So I don't know. I mean, you could give like half a point to Goku and Frieza. This character would have been on the list if they didn't just completely mess them up. The Boo duo. How often do you run into this unit in PvP? Never. I don't think I've run into them a single time in the past 100 matches I've played. It's so unfortunate. But yeah, that's where my stance is on blue. But with that being said, I think red probably makes a bit more sense overall in terms of the current environment of the game, and also just in terms of how red would work with the two units that we're looking at, with Rose and Gogeta Blue. So let's just say Vegeta Blue ends up being red. Vegeta Blue being red obviously would mean that he would be weak to blue, and then you could have Rose cover that weakness on Future. And then for Fusion Warriors and God Key, we have this Gogeta Blue obviously being weak to yellow units, and then we can have a red Vegeta Blue come in and cover his weakness to yellow characters like Kid Buu, for example. The one issue I have with this is that I don't really think it's time to push this character out of the game yet. Kid Buu, I as much as I hate this character, as much as I think this character is annoying and I really just don't like playing against him, he didn't come out that long ago, right? He came out at the end of April. So it's really only been about a little bit more than 2 months since this Kid Buu came out. Whereas a character like Hit, this character has been out for, 5 months? Sure, there are powerful blue characters in the game that can sort of disrupt this character, but I think if I'm going to choose one of these two characters to push out of the game, I would choose Hit, because he's just had more time to be usable right now. So we'll see. But I think if I had to choose a color that makes the most sense to me in terms of his best teams, the characters he's going to be synergizing with in those teams, red makes the most sense to me. in that regard. But I would not be surprised, and I wouldn't really be I wouldn't really complain that much if he was blue instead of red. But those are the two colors that make the most sense to me. Red number 1, and then blue is number 2. Let's quickly talk about both of these units. So I have Rose and Gogeta Blue pulled up, and I want to just quickly go through their strengths and weaknesses and what Vegito Blue could be doing to help out both of these characters. And that's really where I think we'll end here. This is just meant to be like a quick discussion of what I would want to see out of Vegito. So for Rose, one of the biggest problems recently that Rose has been experiencing is that a lot of the recent characters in the game have been immune to status effects. And what I mean by status effects, so if you scroll down here, let me see if I can find this. Yeah, it's an abnormal conditions. The following effects occur every time this character uses a strike, special move, or ultimate arts card when the enemy is inflicted with abnormal conditions. So it's both abnormal conditions, and of course, the other one is going to be just specifically paralysis. Here we go. So as you guys know at this point, if you've played against Rose any amount of times, this blue card, landing paralysis, you are essentially just forced to switch. Otherwise, you're just going to get pummeled and you're not going to be able to do anything. Like, you get paralyzed with this Rose, he's ramping up, he's comboing you, he's building his gauge, he's getting damage, he's inflicting you with debuffs. Your whole team is just crippled forever and you can't play the game. So the fact that a lot of enemies are immune, or a lot of characters are immune to being paralyzed, and a lot of characters are immune to abnormal conditions now as well. That means that Rose is not able to stack up his damage. He's not able to stack up his penetration cut here. Or sorry, his sustained damage cut penetration. He's not able to get all these extra effects like this, like sealing special moves, which definitely hurts the character in the long run. So I think something that Vegito Blue could actually do is have some sort of mechanic where he removes the immunity on the enemy. So for example, Vegito Blue switches out, and when he switches out, he actually removes all enemies' attribute upgrades and attribute upgrades and buff effects. Can you imagine how strong that would be? And the only reason why I'm mentioning that specific mechanic, so on switch out, is another thing that this Rose is doing that's really, really strong is he has a lot of powerful defensive / disrupt mechanics on cover change. So if we take a look at this, the following effects occur when changing cover. Nullifies unfavorable element factors for damage sustained, so he's becoming type neutral for damage received for 5 counts. He's destroying an enemy card. He's lowering their card draw speed level for 5 counts. And he's sealing main ability for 5 counts. And then that's not it, because I believe if he switches in when he's below half HP. Yeah, so the following effects occur if own remaining health is 50% or below when this character enters the battlefield. Draws a green card, he destroys 3 enemy cards. 3, so he's basically destroying their whole hand, right? Because you come in, you destroy 3 cards, and then you destroy another card here. So you're actually destroying 4 cards when you're cover changing, when you're below 50% HP. And you're becoming type neutral, you're lowering their card draw speed. Remember, he heals whenever he takes damage too. So this character's doing a lot of defensive disrupt mechanics. I think something that could help a lot is, once again, if Vegito had not just an effect where on switch out he deleted enemy buff effects and attribute upgrades, but also potentially, inflicting other disrupt mechanics, like maybe he lowers arts power, maybe he destroys Dragon Balls, maybe he destroys cards, maybe he lowers ki, stuff like that. Because I just picture in my head a situation where Vegito is Rose is cover changing for Vegito, which would count as a switch out from Vegito into Rose. So you'd be getting all these effects here, right? On top of whatever effects Vegito would be providing on switch out. So I think that could synergize really well with Rose here, and it could make this Rose even more of a defensive monster. Because, he's obviously a crazy powerful offensive unit, this Rose is. And defensively, I think a lot of people just still, even to this day, don't understand how strong of a defensive unit this is. Because you can switch in with this character against purple character blue cards and not really have to worry about just getting one-shotted because of the type neutrality. Then you're going to be healing after that. Then you're going to be they don't have to really worry about your opponent popping their main because it's sealed. And then of course he gets extra damage for getting touched as well. So there's a lot going on there for this character, and I think that's an effect that Vegito could have that could really help this Rose. All right, so next we have Gogeta Blue. I guess I'll mention this as well. I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but both Gogeta Blue and Rose I would consider to be both as like one-man army style characters, which is basically like a type of character that doesn't really technically need other units with like incredible synergy with them to work well. But I think when it comes to their teams, they're kind of not looking the greatest right now. As crazy as it sounds, I don't really think Future is in the greatest spot ever. Let's just take another quick look at Future. So like we have Rose, of course, I think still the best character on this tag. Red Cell is solid. I don't think Red Cell is like this unbelievable unit. He's good. I think he's better than like Blue Zamasu. I think he's better than like Vegeta and Trunks, but he's not like like touching the same type of power as like Ultra Rose is. This Trunks is Blue Zamasu is solid. Vegeta and Trunks are solid. That's it, right? We just got this Trunks as Zenkai. He's pretty good. Other than that, like what else do you have on this Future team? It seems kind of crazy that, you know, Future seemingly always gets buffed a million times per second, but right now I would actually argue that Future is not the greatest it's been. So I think Rose just needs help on his team, right, to help him. And then the same thing we could say about like Fusion Warriors. Where's Fusion Warriors? Like Fusion Warriors is a team that doesn't get buffed that often, but when they do get buffed, they get like a massive bombshell character, right? We got Super Gogeta, of course, just insane when he dropped, best unit in the game. We had Super Vegito dropped last year, you know, insane. I thought he was the best unit in the game when he dropped. And then we had Gogeta Blue drop during Legends Festival, insane, best unit in the game. Like, yeah, that's the way they operate with Fusion Warriors. Like, they don't give us like a banner that has like 2 new Fusion Warriors on it, and then like 2 months later we get another new Fusion Warrior. It's Fusion Warrior, 6 months of nothing. Best unit of the game, Fusion Warrior. 6 months of nothing. Best unit of the game, Fusion Warrior. And that's probably what we're going to get now. Like, we had a 6-month break from when Gogeta came out. Now we're probably going to get best unit in the game, Fusion Warrior. Right? So, I mean, that's just the way that they've been handling the Fusion Warrior tag here. Let me just quickly check God Key. God Key is definitely a bit of a different story, I think, just because there's so many characters on this tag, right? So let's just see. We got Gogeta. No, sorry. Okay, so I guess we could just start with Zamasu, right? We got Zamasu on the Vegeta and Trunks banner next to Vegeta and Trunks. So, you know, this is a sizable buff for God Key. Then we got Gogeta Blue. Obviously, crazy unit. Then we got Revival UI Goku, who was really good, still is really good. And then we got Rose. So I would actually argue God Key is not the worst right now, but they're not like absolutely untouchable. I'd be okay with God Key getting more buffs here. So in terms of the characters themselves, the teams just are not like the peak, like especially Fusion Warriors and Red Future. I think God Key is definitely the best of the 3 teams here, but even God Key I think could still use a bit of extra help here. But for Gogeta Blue, the one thing about this character is he takes a long time to ramp up. So that's one of his, well, not really a long time, because like he gets like incremental buffs. So it's, what is it, 30 count? Yes, 30 counts and then 60 counts. 60 counts is when he becomes actual god, because not only is he getting this, his green card is getting a massive buff with the Vanish Restoration here. So that's the other thing to mention about this character is he takes, you know, he's really good. He just takes a little bit to ramp up. Once you get the 60 counts to elapse, like this character it's tough to argue against this guy being just number 1 in the game still. It's 6 months later. So I think this goes back to my point that I made at the beginning of this video where I talked about Vegito Blue potentially being a defense type character. Maybe for the first, what if for the first 60 counts, Vegito Blue is like just this ridiculously untouchable defensive monster, like just ridiculously strong. Then he could sort of taper off a little bit after 60 counts. Like he wouldn't become worthless or bad or anything like that, but he would just become a little bit worse. And then at that point, you have this guy fully built up, and you can just switch into him, and he just takes out the garbage himself, right? I mean, that could be something that they do for this Gogeta. One slight, I don't even know if I want to call it a weakness, but one instance where this character can feel a little bit disappointing in some instances is this. So he doesn't get key on switch-in. Instead, he gets key upon landing the first Striker Blast Arts card that he uses, which is good. I mean, this is a very good mechanic. The problem with this mechanic, though, is if you switch in with not enough key to use a Striker or Blast card, you obviously can't use the card, right? So I think maybe we could see a potential thing where like Vegito Blue would be able to give this guy key on switch in. So maybe Vegito Blue on switch out gives Fusion Warriors 20 key on switch in. Like, that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for anything crazy or anything like that. Just enough key to make sure that when you switch into the Gogeta, he's able to have enough key to use a strike or a blast that he can chain it into this effect and get the 50 key here. There's definitely instances where like you fight enemies that reduce your key. So a lot of times you will find yourself with like 0 key. And on switching with this character, who's not gaining key on entry, he's not able to chain his strike or blast card, and therefore he's not able to continue the combo. And then I guess the other thing to mention as well is this guy definitely has one of the best green cards in the game at 60 counts, like I mentioned earlier. So again, have Vegito be some kind of like monstrous tank who just doesn't allow anybody in your team to take damage at all for the first 60 counts. And then another thing that could really help this Gogeta is if he just was able to supply him with more green cards. I'm not saying allow Vegito to hold a green card in his deck. Like, don't give your deck like 2 green cards, like how Whis does or Yajirobe does, but kind of like how Orange Piccolo works, where he's able to draw a green card from his main, he's able to draw a green card from his blue, and there's just different ways for him to be able to supply the rest of the team with green cards. That could really help this Gogeta a lot. So those are the kinds of mechanics that I like to see with Gogeta. I guess one other quick thing I can mention as well is the way that Gogeta's gauge works. Of course, you guys know at this point is once it's filled up, he counters all blast cards. So not just blast arts cards, but blue cards that are blast oriented. This Gogeta works really well with characters that have strike cover changes, or I guess technically it could be a universal cover change too, right? So for example, at the level that we're going to be seeing this Vegito Blue come out, most likely, I would expect him to have... honestly, do I want to say I would expect him to have a universal cover change? I kind of do. Like the way this Gogeta works, where he gets 2 cover changes per fight, but it's against strike or blast, right? That can work. Because the way this works is when you pop this Gogeta's gauge, obviously your opponent's going to be either wanting to use a strike or just not attack at all. Because if they use a blast card, he's just going to counter it and hit them with a blue card. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll build up this Gogeta's gauge, and then you'll swap into a character that has a strike cover change because your opponent has no choice but to strike anyway. So that could really work well with this character. Or again, like I mentioned, you could just give Vegito a universal cover change, which I think makes the most sense for a character of this caliber that we're going to see. But that is really what we're looking at in terms of what I would want to see from a Vegito. Again, I think I probably would want to see, in the best case scenario, a character that is like a traditional defense type, like just a ridiculously hard to kill wall of a unit that has a lot of disrupt, has a lot of defense, and is really annoying to fight for the first 60 counts, allows Gogeta to build up, allows Rose to inflict those status ailments that he needs to do to build himself up, because those are the 2 characters you're probably going to be running most alongside Vegito. So let me know down below what you guys would want to see out of an Ultra Vegito Blue. I think we should be getting, once again, the reveal and stuff announcement either later today or tomorrow. Banner should be released on the 12th this week. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.